Have you ever laid your head on the pillow at night with your heart racing, thinking about unpaid bills, rising expenses, or financial struggles that seem too heavy to carry? Many people lose their peace before sleeping because of money problems. But tonight, I want to tell you something powerful. There is a spiritual key that can change everything. Read this psalm before you sleep and watch how your burdens begin to lift. Psalm 23 says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." These words are not just poetry, they are a divine promise. When you read them with faith, you are reminding your spirit that God Himself is watching over you, guiding you, and providing for you. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. Your shepherd has already prepared green pastures and still waters for your soul, even in the middle of financial storms. As you declare this psalm at night, you are not just reading words, you are aligning your heart with God's abundance. Fear begins to fade. Anxiety begins to shrink. Hope starts to rise. You enter sleep not with worries, but with faith, knowing that the Creator of heaven and earth is working behind the scenes for your breakthrough. Your money problems are not greater than God's power. Tonight, as you read this psalm, believe that doors of provision are opening, debts are being lifted, and fresh opportunities are being released. Sleep in peace, wake up in hope, and walk boldly into the overflow God has promised. God is your shepherd. He ensures you lack nothing. When you embrace this truth deep within your spirit, you begin to see life differently, because you are no longer walking in fear of lack, but in confidence of divine provision. A shepherd never abandons his sheep. He leads them, feeds them, protects them, and carries them when they are weak. In the same way, God watches over you with unshakable love and care. He knows your needs even before you ask. He sees the hidden struggles of your heart, and He provides not only for your material necessities, but also for your inner peace, joy, and strength. To say that you shall not want is to declare that no situation in life can leave you destitute, because the one who owns the heavens and the earth is committed to your well-being. You may face seasons where resources seem limited, but lack is not your portion, because the shepherd has already planned your green pastures. When you rest in His presence, you find that doors open where walls once stood, opportunities appear where there seemed to be none, and solutions rise out of impossibilities. He does not only supply money or food, He supplies wisdom, favor, and guidance that lead to abundance. Every valley you walk through is covered by His protection, and every mountain you face is made conquerable by His strength. He ensures you lack nothing in your relationships, giving you peace with others, nothing in your purpose, filling your life with meaning, and nothing in your spirit, pouring in His unfailing love. Even when the world is unstable, when economies shift and jobs are uncertain, your shepherd never changes. His care is not dependent on circumstances, it flows from His eternal nature. He ensures you lack nothing because He is your sufficiency, your source, your ever-present help, and your unfailing provider. Reading Psalm 23 before sleep invites peace and provision because it shifts the atmosphere of your mind and heart at the very moment when many worries try to overwhelm you. Nighttime is often when anxieties grow louder, when thoughts about unpaid bills, uncertain futures, and daily struggles seem heavier. But the words of this psalm act as a shield against fear. When you whisper, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you are reminding your spirit that God is in control, and that assurance creates a sense of calm that no circumstance can take away. Sleep becomes more than just physical rest. It becomes a spiritual surrender into the arms of the one who never sleeps nor slumbers. Instead of tossing and turning in fear, You lie down with faith, believing that the shepherd who led David still leads you today. The beauty of reading Psalm 23 before sleeping is that it repositions your thoughts from scarcity to abundance. You may feel surrounded by lack, but the psalm paints a picture of green pastures and still waters, reminding you that provision is already prepared. When those words flow through your lips, your faith begins to rise and peace replaces panic. It is not about denying the challenges you face. It is about choosing to believe that God's provision is greater than the problem. Each verse carries power, assuring you that goodness and mercy are following you, that a table is being prepared even in the presence of your enemies, and that your cup can overflow. This meditation before sleep works like planting seeds of faith in the soil of your heart, seeds that grow overnight into courage, hope and expectation as you read Psalm 23 in the stillness of the night. You are also training your spirit to rest in God's promises. The body may be tired, the mind may be restless, but the soul finds deep rest when it hears the shepherd's voice through these timeless words. Peace comes not from the absence of challenges, but from the presence of the shepherd. Provision flows not only in financial ways, but in emotional healing, mental clarity, and spiritual renewal. Many people wake up drained because they went to bed with worry. But when you go to bed with the Word, you wake up with strength. You rise not feeling empty, but feeling guided, supplied, and ready for the day ahead. Psalm 23 before sleep is more than a ritual. It is a declaration of trust. It says to every fear, you will not control me tonight. And it says to every financial burden, God has already made a way. Peace enters because faith has been stirred, and provision comes because your shepherd delights in caring for his sheep. As you close your eyes with this psalm in your heart, you release control and allow God to move in unseen ways, opening doors, aligning opportunities, and preparing blessings. Your night becomes a sanctuary of faith, and your sleep becomes a testimony that God truly provides rest for the weary and abundance for the faithful. Faith shifts focus from fear to abundance, because faith is the lens through which you choose to see life. And whatever you focus on expands in your heart. Fear magnifies problems, makes challenges appear larger than they are, and drains your strength before you even begin to face them. Fear whispers that there is not enough, that you will fail, that you will never break free from financial struggles or emotional battles. But when faith rises, the same situation looks completely different. Faith does not deny the existence of challenges. It declares that God is bigger than every challenge. Faith does not ignore lack. It believes in God's power to provide even in the desert. Fear paralyzes, but faith mobilizes. Fear shuts doors, but faith opens possibilities. Fear shrinks your vision, but faith enlarges it until you begin to expect abundance instead of lack, success instead of failure, provision instead of shortage. When you walk by faith, you refuse to be controlled by the negative voices of fear. Fear says there is no way out, but faith says God will make a way where there seems to be none. Fear says you cannot afford to dream, but faith says you can step into dreams bigger than your resources, because God supplies all your needs according to His riches in glory. Faith shifts your focus from what you do not have to what God has already placed in your hands. Faith helps you see opportunities hidden inside obstacles, solutions inside problems, and blessings inside struggles. With faith, you look at your future not with dread, but with expectation, knowing that abundance is not only possible, but promised to those who trust in God. Abundance is not limited to material wealth. It includes peace of mind, joy in the heart, and strength in the soul. Fear keeps you bound in scarcity thinking, always worried about losing what little you have. But faith unlocks gratitude, making you realize that what you already have is seed for something greater. Faith gives you courage to sow, to act, to take steps that fear would never allow. Abundance flows to those who live with open hands, and faith keeps your hands open while fear keeps them clenched. The more you focus on God's promises through faith, the more you align yourself with the flow of His provision, and abundance begins to manifest not only in finances, but in opportunities, relationships, and inner fulfillment. Faith transforms the way you think before you even see results. It allows you to rest in the assurance that God is working behind the scenes. You may not know how or when, but faith anchors you in the certainty that it will happen. Fear drains your energy with worry, but faith gives you energy through hope. Fear looks at the storm and trembles, but faith looks at the storm and sees the hand of God still in control. Faith allows you to walk into tomorrow with confidence because you know the shepherd leads you to green pastures and still waters. It changes the inner atmosphere of your soul, replacing panic with peace and despair with determination. Faith shifts your perspective so completely that even in moments of apparent lack, you begin to see them as temporary and stepping stones toward greater abundance. When faith is alive in you, you no longer measure your future by the limits of your current resources. You measure it by the limitless power of God. Fear makes you hold back, but faith makes you move forward. Fear tells you to expect the worst, but faith teaches you to expect overflow. Fear is rooted in doubt, but faith is rooted in trust. By shifting your focus through faith, you become a magnet for abundance, because you are now looking at life through the eyes of divine possibility. Every declaration of faith pushes fear further away, and every step taken in faith draws abundance closer into your reality. This is the power of choosing faith over fear. Money struggles are temporary. God's supply is endless. There are times in life when financial pressure feels overwhelming, when bills pile up, when opportunities seem scarce, and when it looks like you are walking through a dry and barren land with no way out. In those moments, it is easy to believe that lack is permanent and that struggle will always define your life. But the truth is that every season of hardship is only for a time, while the supply of God knows no end. His resources are not bound by economies, markets, or human limitations. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. The silver and the gold belong to Him, and His power to provide exceeds every boundary. When you shift your perspective to this truth, you begin to realize that what looks like the end is simply a passing phase, and what feels like scarcity is only a setup for a greater testimony of provision. Money struggles often come to test your faith and train your dependence on God rather than on your own strength. They remind you that human effort alone cannot guarantee lasting security, but divine supply never fails. God's endless supply means that even in the wilderness, He can rain down manna. Even in famine, He can provide through unexpected sources. And even in the midst of debt, He can open doors of opportunity that bring freedom. Struggles have a way of refining your trust, teaching you to look beyond what is visible and to rely on what is eternal. What you see as lack is not the final word, because the final word belongs to the one who calls Himself Jehovah Jireh. The Lord who provides. Every story in Scripture shows that lack never lasts when God steps in. Elijah saw provision in the drought through the brook and the ravens. The widow of Zarephath saw her little oil and flour multiply until the famine ended. The disciples saw 5 loaves and 2 fish feed thousands with baskets left over. These stories are not just ancient miracles. They are living testimonies that God's supply does not run dry. The money struggles may try to convince you that your future is limited, but faith in God's endless provision allows you to see beyond the present into a future of abundance. When you remind yourself that money is temporary, but God's riches are eternal, you shift from despair to expectation, from panic to peace, and from scarcity to gratitude. God's supply is endless because it flows from His nature. He is not generous today and stingy tomorrow. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. His blessings are new every morning. His mercies never fail, and His goodness is not measured by the balance in your bank account. Sometimes His supply comes through financial increase, sometimes through wisdom that helps you manage what you have, and sometimes through favor that opens doors money could never buy. To believe that His supply is endless is to rest in the assurance that you are never truly without, even when appearances suggest otherwise. What looks like a closed door can become the very place where God shows you He can make rivers in the desert and pathways through the wilderness. When you see money struggles as temporary, you release yourself from the prison of hopelessness. Temporary seasons may cause you to stretch, to learn discipline, and to grow stronger in faith, but they cannot last forever. God promises that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. In the same way, financial hardship may endure for a season, but breakthrough is certain when you trust in Him. His supply ensures that you are sustained not only materially, but spiritually and emotionally as well. He gives peace in the storm, strength in the battle, and wisdom in decision-making. The struggles may shake you, but they cannot destroy you, because the foundation of your life rests on an unending source. Money struggles are temporary because they belong to the realm of changeable circumstances. But God's supply is endless because it belongs to the realm of His eternal promise. You may feel empty now, but emptiness is the very place where His fullness is revealed. You may feel surrounded by debt, but that is where His provision will shine brightest. When you anchor your trust in Him, you learn to see beyond the immediate and to expect the overflow He has already prepared. Your shepherd ensures that you shall not want, and your Father delights in giving you the kingdom. Every seed of faith you sow, every prayer you release, every declaration you make from His word aligns you with the flow of His endless supply. Money struggles may visit for a while, but they are not your permanent address, because abundance, peace, and provision are the inheritance of those who believe in His unfailing care, rest in trust, wake in hope, and expect breakthrough. To rest in trust is to lay down the weight of worry and anxiety, to surrender the burdens you cannot carry, and to lean completely on the one who never fails. Trust is not passive, it is active reliance on God's promises, believing that He is working even when you cannot see the evidence. When you rest in trust, you silence the voices of fear that tell you it will never change, and you replace them with the assurance that your shepherd knows exactly where to lead you. Resting in trust is not about ignoring reality, but about choosing to believe that reality is not final, because God holds the final word. It is the peace that comes from knowing that your life is in the hands of a loving Father who has already gone before you and made a way. To wake in hope is to rise each morning with expectation, believing that new mercies have already been released for you. Hope is the anchor that keeps you steady when storms rage. It is the light that shines even when the night has been long and heavy. Hope does not deny the presence of challenges. It declares that challenges are temporary and that a better day is always ahead. When you wake in hope, you do not allow yesterday's failures, disappointments, or struggles to define today. Instead, You open your heart to the possibility that today could be the day of answered prayer. Today could be the day of financial turnaround. Today could be the day when healing flows. Today could be the day when long-awaited opportunities open. Hope keeps your spirit alive, your vision clear, and your steps steady as you walk forward with expectation. Instead of despair, expect breakthrough, because breakthrough is the natural result of faith that refuses to quit. Breakthrough does not come to the doubting heart. It comes to the heart that holds fast, even when nothing seems to change. Expectation is the soil in which miracles grow. When you live with expectation, you align your thoughts, words, and actions with the truth that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you ask or imagine. To expect breakthrough is to refuse to settle for defeat, to refuse to bow down to fear, and to refuse to believe that your current struggle is the end of your story. Breakthrough is not only about financial increase or open doors. It is about chains being broken, burdens being lifted, and freedom being restored. It is about moving from limitation to expansion, from darkness to light, from lack to overflow. Rest in trust, because your efforts alone cannot carry you where God has destined you to be. Trust acknowledges that while you do your part, God is the one who brings the increase. Trust keeps you from burning out under the pressure of trying to control everything. Trust allows you to sleep at night, knowing that the shepherd is still awake, guiding, protecting, and providing. Trust teaches you to live from a place of peace, even when circumstances are chaotic. And when you truly rest in trust, you stop striving for approval, you stop competing with others, you stop fearing the future, and you start walking in the calm assurance that you are covered by divine care. Wake in hope, because every sunrise is God's reminder that yesterday's troubles do not define today's possibilities. Hope gives you vision beyond the present moment. It keeps you looking ahead instead of backward, and it fills your heart with strength to endure. Without hope, the soul grows weary and the spirit feels crushed. But with hope, even the heaviest load becomes bearable. Hope empowers you to dream again, to believe again, to pray again, and to act again, even after disappointment. Each new morning is an invitation to expect something better, to position yourself for favor, and to anticipate the goodness of God showing up in ways you could not have imagined. Expect breakthrough, because breakthrough belongs to those who dare to believe in the impossible. Breakthrough is often preceded by the darkest nights, the hardest battles, and the fiercest storms, but it comes to those who hold on and refuse to let go of faith. To expect breakthrough is to look at locked doors and declare that they must open, to look at mountains and command them to move, to look at dry places and call forth rivers of living water. Expectation prepares you to receive, because when you expect, you are ready, and when you are ready, God pours out. Breakthrough may not always come in the way you think, but it always comes in the way you need, and it always reveals the faithfulness of God. Rest in trust, wake in hope, and expect breakthrough, because this is the rhythm of a life anchored in God's promises. Trust allows you to lay down every burden at His feet. Hope allows you to rise with fresh strength, and expectation allows you to move forward into new levels of blessing. When these three flow together, you live above fear, above doubt, and above the limitations of your circumstances. Rest in trust each night, reminding yourself that God is still in control. Wake in hope each morning, declaring that His mercies are new and His blessings are already on the way. Expect breakthrough each day, walking with boldness into the abundance and freedom He has prepared for you.